Ever since AI became mainstream and popular in the last maybe 2, 3 years, we've seen countless ways it's being used by different businesses, by different people, by even governments and everyone. And today's entrepreneur is using AI in a very unique way, which would be really valuable to business owners. Today's entrepreneur is Damien from the Macpreneur podcast. Damien has been able to create a co-CEO using AI, which he uses to run his business, run tax through, and okay, yeah, I think I'll let him tell us what he uses this for. So, welcome to Tech Your Business, Damien.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Peter.
Thank you. So can you I won't let the cat out of the bag. So I think you continue from there. Tell us about your AI
Mhm.
co-CEO, your business journey, maybe a bit about Luxembourg. I think we had a bit of a chat about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been a solopreneur since 2013. My business is Easy Tech, and I provide IT training and coaching services here in Luxembourg, mostly locally. And so I've been fascinated by AI. In my previous job, I've used machine learning, but in a totally different context than what we are using today with large language models. And since the ChatGPT moment, right, I've been experimenting a lot. I like experimenting. I like discovering new things. And I also started listening to a bunch of AI podcasts. One that was very pivotal for me is the AI Marketing Show with Paul Reutzer and Mike Caput. If the listener really enjoy artificial intelligence, they should listen to that podcast. And the co-CEO was actually not an invention of mine, but it was an invention of Paul Reutzer. He came out with this concept and he started implementing it and even did a webinar where he explained how to how to create a co-CEO. I think the main template is available on the smarterx.ai website. So his website dedicated to AI education. So I took that co-CEO concept and I ran with it. And
Wow.
what what Paul Rhodes offers or provides is a kind of a custom instruction template, but you have to manually fill in the blanks, right? The idea of a co-CEO, especially for solopreneurs, is that we I can have now a thought partner, really somebody with whom I can explain some difficulties, or I could even give it some goals, and it can help me basically achieve these goals. So for the listeners, just to give you a rough idea of the custom instruction for a co-CEO is at the top, there is an instruction that it needs to act as a partner to the actual CEO. And you give it your name, you give it the name of your company, and then you explain who you are, right? So you give as much information about you as the business owner, as the solopreneur, your goals in life, your strengths, your weaknesses, your professional bio, right? What you have done in the past, and then the next section is all about the company. So you explain what your company does, the products, the service, the ideal customer, and more importantly, what are the values and what you believe in, right? What are the core principles of your business? And after that, it's purely standard instructions, right? How it behaves, what it is helpful for, what are its skills, and so on. And once you have prepared that, and you can create in ChatGPT, you can create a GPT. You need a ChatGPT Plus account for that. If you have Claude, you can create a project. And if you have, Gemini, if you have a Gemini advanced plan, you can create what is called a gem. Now, I just mentioned about the custom instruction, but you can also give it some knowledge. The reason why there are these two parts is because with ChatGPT, the custom instructions is limited to 8,000 characters. So you cannot put a lot of things, right? There are a lot of characters just for the standard part of the co-CEO. So
Yeah.
what I ended up doing in the end, I created a custom GPT to help me craft the co-CEO GPT, and and that instruction says make sure that it's below the 8,000 character limit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Should I go and explain a little bit how I use it, what it's useful
Yeah.
for?
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I started talking about the knowledge, right? So
Okay.
what I fed my co-CEO is multiple things. Because my company is providing IT training and coaching services, I gave it all my training catalogs. So it knows exactly my offers right now.
Okay.
I gave it also screenshots of my website, of the EasyTech website. So it knows exactly how it's laid out. I have given it a screenshot of the pricing page, of the about page. So it has information about that. I also created a Google Sheet with my entire tech stack. So it knows that I'm using ConvertKit. It knows that the website is on Squarespace. It knows that I use Zapier. And basically everything that I'm using, right? Every subscription, every piece of software, it knows exactly what I'm currently running my business on. And then the last piece of information that I gave it is financial information. So now I understand some people might be scared to attach that to ChatGPT or to Gemini or to Gem. But what I ended up doing was absolute value for my quarterly goals and my yearly goals, my yearly revenue objectives, and then percentages for the uh, historical data, right? So percentages of I have different kind of customer segments, and so I gave it this kind of information. So it has that as a basis, and the way I'm using it right now, is actually to expand two things: to expand internationally. I want to expand, and second, I want to increase the revenue, which is typical for when you have a business. And so we are brainstorming ideas for short-term revenue increase and longer-term revenue increase.
So I think what you described is I'm more of a cloud person, so I think I have a cloud project that's slightly like what you described, but yours has gone really, 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 really detailed and deep into the whole thing with as much information as you need. So using the this AI co-CEO, how have the results been for you?
So in roughly a month and a half that I've been using it, it has helped me generate 1,500 euro of
Wow.
short-term revenue. I have potentially 1,000 euro in the medium-term pipeline, and something I cannot yet give a number on, but it has helped me with a kind of partnership, a potential partnership with a very large business in Luxembourg, or a much larger business than myself, for sure.
Wow.
And this has the potential of doubling the revenue of EasyTech if it pans out. And for that part of it, for the more longer term revenue generation, my co-CEO helped me prepare for the meeting that I had with the head, with the CEO of that other organization.
Wow.
And so I use two things in ChatGPT. I use the deep research capability, which is independent from the co-CEO. So I use deep research first to help me prepare kind of a report about the company I wanted um, to become a subcontractor for, but also I wanted to know as much as possible about the CEO, about the head of that organization. What's his style, communication style, how to approach him. And once I had this deep research report, I gave it to my co-CEO and I asked my co-CEO to help me prepare for the meeting. But also, I asked the co-CEO what would be the question that that person would ask me during the meeting so I could prepare potential
Wow.
grilling questions. Knowing what came from the deep research, but knowing about me, my personality, the way I speak, and so on. And yeah, that's really great. And then the part that I'm currently working on is really the international expansion, right? So I didn't know about the tax status in the UK since Brexit. Um, and I wanted also to expand to Canada and the US. For that, I used deep research again. Deep research is really great. It's unbelievable
Wow.
the amount of information that it provided in such a short time. And then I fed the report to my co-CEO. And then with the co-CEO, we brainstormed and then we decided that we will not go to Canada because it's a bit too complicated from a tax perspective.
Yeah.
The UK, no problem as long as it's B2B, right? If it's B2B and the business has a VAT number,
Registered.
if
Yeah.
yeah, is registered with a VAT in the UK, then it's okay. It's like before Brexit. It's like as if Brexit never happened. But
Yeah.
then for the US, I realized how much complicated it is, and then we selected two states. I think it's Delaware and New Hampshire, which would be the first states that I would try to expand my services to. Yeah. So yeah, so then I selected Delaware and New Hampshire, which are the two states that are the closest to us, right? So it's the east coast of the US, so it's only 6 hours difference. So for me, if I need to give a half day training session, if for them, let's say, if for them it's 8:30, for me it's 2:30 in the afternoon, right? So it matches. I can give when I'm in the
Yeah.
afternoon, can give them a morning training session. Whereas for California and other states, starts to be shifting, and for me, it would be in the middle of my dinner dinner time that I would give a training session in the US one. And also because those two states actually they do not have any tax. There is no taxability for B2B services, right? So any services, right? So it's completely tax free.
Amazing. Amazing. And I think that's one
Yeah.
thing people we realize about AI. It saves a whole lot of time because if you can imagine how much research you would have had to go through, or maybe how much you would have had to pay consultants to get this same information you got in less than a few minutes using AI.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that you've been able
Hmm.
to run your business alone without employees using technology. So how were you doing this before AI, before these custom GPTs and projects and gems came in?
Hmm. Yeah. So I've always been a process minded person, and an automation kind of person. So I strongly believe in automation, and I really believe that that's what most solopreneurs lack, and what they would benefit the most is by automating their businesses. And so the only thing that I have outsourced from day one of starting my company is the accounting side of the business. So I hired an accountant, an external accountant, an accounting firm, and they deal with that. I've never dealt except collecting invoices and then making sure that they have all the invoices they need, all the paper they need for filing the tax things for EasyTech. But for everything else, I was able to take care of everything, and especially because I'm very strong with, first of all, keyboard shortcuts and stuff like that. I have a Stream Deck. So if people do not know what the Stream Deck is, it's like a panel with a bunch of buttons. I have 32 buttons. And with push of buttons, I can quickly open apps, close apps, change scenery,
Wow.
rearrange windows on my screen, and basically automate the. So when I, for instance, when I need to do something for client related, I push a button, it goes to a special desktop on my computer. It opens certain app automatically, and then afterwards, when I need to do certain operations like open a bunch of files, open folders, access application, again, I have buttons. I just tap on a button and a bunch of things happen on my computer automatically. But that's the while working on the computer. And most of the things that we do now
Yeah.
is web based, right? And so I have automations using a tool like Zapier. I'm mostly using Zapier to glue all the different web services that I'm using for my business. And also, I choose web tools that have at least a little bit of automation capabilities. So, my CRM, for instance, is called Podio. And what I like about Podio is that it has a lot of built-in automations. And so, for instance, when I have and not only that, but they also offer online forms. So the contact form on my website, on the EasyTech website, is a Podio form. It is linked to my leads database. So when somebody fills the contact form on the website, it immediately feeds my leads database. But with the help of Zapier, what happens is that all the relevant contact information, they get added to my Google contact list, which means that as soon as somebody is a lead for me or is a potential lead, I have the contact information. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to copy paste. If the person calls me, I can recognize the name because it has all the information. So I see caller ID. But if I want to call the person, I just open my phone and
Wow.
call the person right away. Zapier also creates a task in my task
Oh.
manager, which is Todoist. And so even if even if I don't realize that I have a new contact in my contact database, I have a task. I think it's the same day, 6 p.m. or something like that, to double check, right, the information and to follow up with the person. And that happens totally automatically. I don't have to do anything special. And when I contact the person, I go back to my CRM, I click on a button and I say contacted. It creates a project for me, and it creates a sale, a blank sale for me. So I have a leads database and I have a sales database. So I can know, okay, for every person, whether they are a client or just a lead, and for every client, I can quickly look back. These are all the sales that I've done, And I'm able also to quickly have how much revenue a client has generated and what's the average sale revenue. Every time I do a sale, I have this average value. So in Podio, you can create calculations, and it goes beyond that because when the sale, so when I say that the lead has now confirmed that there will be a sale, in my CRM I push a button and Zapier copies all the contact information from Podio to FreshBooks, which is my invoicing software. And so in FreshBooks, the only thing I need to do is open FreshBooks, new invoice, select the
Wow.
client, and that's it. I don't need to copy
Wow.
paste anything. And so that's for me, that's the power of automation. I have hundreds, hundreds of things that are running constantly, or either running in the background or just waiting for something to happen, right? So if the listener are not familiar with the way automation works, is that usually there are two things. There is a trigger, and then there are a set of actions. And the trigger can be I manually push a button, or the trigger can be an event happens somewhere in an app, in a web service, right? I have an automation that automatically files the invoices that are attached to emails
Wow.
into a folder, into a Google Drive folder. So I don't need to worry about where are all those pesky invoices. No, the email lands in my inbox. Zapier notices this saves the PDF to a folder, and actually then I have another automation on my Mac. I'm a Mac user, so there is a tool called Hazel, which is specific to the Apple platform, to the Mac platform. And that Hazel tool, which runs all the time on my Mac, watches that Google Drive folder. And if it finds a PDF that lands on that folder, it will look inside, and I have a bunch of rules that says, okay, if it says Amazon, rename date of the invoice Amazon, and file it somewhere that will go for the accountant. And so it's everything is it doesn't mean there is no hiccup, right? From time to time, if the service provider changes something in the
Yeah.
invoice, some wording and so on, my automation will miss it. So once a week, I go back to that folder, that Google Drive folder, and I see, are there anything that are left there that should be filed, right? And then I tweak my automation, but for the most part, a lot of things is done on my behalf. And I have a I have a philosophy, right? And the philosophy is eliminate, automate, delegate, in that order. What most solopreneurs do is delegate, automate, and then eliminate, which means that more often than not, they hire a VA, a virtual assistant, for things that could be automated or that shouldn't
Yeah.
be even done in the first place. So always look at your processes. Is it really necessary that this needs to be done, right? And if not, eliminate. If this needs to be done, the next question is, can it be automated? And if it really can't be automated, then and only then look for human
Amazing.
help.
I think it's really amazing what you've done with automations, and I absolutely love to do it. I think it really changed my life because I started using Todoist back in 2014. Before then, keeping things in track and all that was a nightmare. I tried everything, but since I started using Todoist, it's like I recommend it to everybody, and I love that you use it too. So, so these automations you talk about, how long did it take you to build them? How long does it take you? I know you mentioned them checking them once a week in case anything breaks, which happens often with tech. So how long did it take you to build them? How long does it take you to manage them? And how much time would you say has it saved you? Although I can see a lot of time, especially copying and pasting.
Well, to estimate how much time it has saved me, is difficult. I think the the filing on invoices, it was something along the lines of 50 days over the past
Wow.
few years. Um, in terms of setting it up, I have another philosophy, and the philosophy is slow down to go fast, right? Slow down to go fast. So I will not lie, it takes time
Yeah.
to set up those automations, right? And sometimes an automation can take me an hour, 2 hours to really dial it in, right? So in the grand scheme of things, say, wow, 2 hours, right? During these 2 hours, I could have done a lot of things manually. And I say, yes, yes. During those 2 hours, you could not have automated it and done maybe and that would maybe be equivalent of 6 months or a year of you doing it manually and not automating it. But if you think more longer term than that, right, the 1 hour or 2 hours that you invest today in 3, 4, 5 years of your business, right? We don't plan of doing starting a business for just 6 months or a year, right? We're going for the long run. In the long run, for sure, it will save you time. But more importantly, that's something that most people do not think about is the cost of context switching, right? Context switching, which means I'm doing my emails and now I need to take care of making sure that my invoice PDFs are in the right place, and now I have to think about that, and now I have to think about that, and the reason most people do not try to automate these small tasks is because they don't see the value. Say, well, it only takes me 5 minutes. It only takes me 10 minutes to do this thing. But they don't think about the compounding effect and the context switching effect that they lose focus. And what it helps me in, on top of not having to worry too much about that because it's taken care of, is that I free up my mind to work longer blocks of time on more value adding activities like brainstorming with my co-CEO.
Yeah.
We're back to that, right? Rather than spending time looking for invoices or stuff like that. Yeah.
That's great. So I think what a question I would like to ask next, and I'm sure which listeners of this would be curious about, is what does your tech stack currently cost? I know you mentioned ChatGPT Plus, you mentioned Zapier, you mentioned Todoist. So do you have an idea, maybe like a figure of what it currently costs you to have all these things running for you?
Yeah. And actually, I'm going to push a button, open my budget file, and let it open automatically. So now Excel is opening. So I push the button, it
Wow.
opens the right
Wow.
file, it launches Excel, and I'm going to tell you exactly the figure, right? So my online services is roughly 450
Wow.
euro per month. That's my tech stack cost. Now 450 for part of the a lot of automation enhancing, right? That's cheaper than a person that
Exactly.
you need to hire full time.
Exactly.
much much cheaper. Yeah,
Amazing. And I think from what you've described, the
yeah.
automation does the job of more than one person, does the job of a couple of people. So when you compare, it's
Mhm.
just,
Exactly.
wow.
Yeah, and also I know that it's possible to hire a virtual assistant cheaper in other countries, right, outside of Europe or the US. So it's technically feasible to delegate a bunch of tasks for less than 400 euros per month. So that's technically feasible. But the question I ask myself is, but is it high value? Is it low value? Right? What's the added value of copy pasting a name, a phone number, an address, right, from one software to another software? And there's something else that I forgot to mention. The why I believe so strongly about the power of automation is not only that it does things on behalf of me, but that it's
Yes.
100% consistent, right? Once you have set up an automation, it will always it always do the same thing, right? It cannot mess up the copy paste, right? If the person, rather than double clicking or triple clicking to select all, just use the mouse to drag and select and forgets to select the last digit of something, right? There could be mistakes being done during a copy paste. There could be mistakes and inconsistencies in renaming files, right? You receive an invoice called blah blah invoice.pdf. You want the date, space, invoice, space. You want the name of the service. You want consistency. Automation is the king for that. And actually, unfortunately, it's more consistent than humans. We have difficulties to be
Yeah, and I think
consistent.
apart from that, too, another difficulty hiring a human VA is the training part because you spend so much time training and you're not even sure that person is going to stay with you that long.
Mhm.
And then you're now dealing with the person having different moods, different days, different energy levels, and you have been through all of that. So I think the consistency is just beautiful. You put in code and code just
Mhm.
gives you what you want, and that's all. So now, for other business owners trying to
Mhm.
automate, create automations to create things like this in their business, what common mistakes have you seen them make when trying to do this?
So I think one mistake is to try to start too big, try to automate too much at a time. And I got interviewed recently on another podcast, and the host asked me the question, what's the first thing that people should look at if they've never done any automation? And the answer is keyboard shortcut and text replacement, right? And keyboard shortcuts, because it's usually much faster than moving the mouse, clicking, and so on. So it's a form of automation. It's not really automation. For me, the first type of automation is text replacement. If solopreneurs do not use text replacement, start with that, right? Text replacement, you type a snippet. So in my case, when I type dash em, I have a bunch of, yeah, dash eme. Dash eme means email EasyTech. So when I type dash eme, it
Wow.
writes damien@easytech.lu. When I type dash emm, it writes damien@macpreneur.com. And this is a very simple and short. So we say, what, you type 4 letters and you get 7 letters or 8 letters. What's the point? No, the point is that I have saved days, days not typing so many characters. And yeah, so start with that. If you have an Apple device, it's built in. Text replacement is built in. If you don't have a, an Apple device, then there is a tool called Text Expander. It's a paid application, but it's relatively affordable. It's quite affordable, actually. And Text Expander is multi platform, Windows and Mac. and even mobile devices. And actually, I'm using both. I'm using text replacement from Apple
Wow.
for the emojis. Right? So I've configured so when I type and the trick is to use a special character to start your snippet. So my convention is with text expander, it's a dash. So I always when I have something, it's dash something. So for instance, dash VAT fills out the VAT number of EasyTech. Dash IBAN fills out the bank account number of EasyTech. So the dashes for me, it's in text expander. For Apple text replacement, it's the comma. So when I do comma start, it puts the start flag emoji, right? When I put comma done, it puts the check mark emoji. And when I say comma nope, it puts the big red X X mark emoji. So I have a bunch of emojis like that I use text replacement. I don't need to find the thing, and it's much faster. And the beauty of text replacement, especially with text expander, is that you can completely create like multiple paragraphs of text, including introducing at some parts of your expanded text the clipboard and key presses. So I have a text expander snippet that I use when I have to send an email, send an invoice by email. When I invoice a client, I open Gmail, I put my cursor in the subject line of the email, and I type dash FET for Facture EasyTech. So in
Oh,
French,
yeah.
EasyTech invoice. I have a panel that appears with a field that says what's the invoice number, 123. What's the service you provided, IT training session on Excel, and then what else? That's it. That's it. And I press OK. It types for me the subject line. It does the tabulation key, tab key, and then it starts filling out
Wow.
the body of the message. The only thing I need to do is
Wow.
attach the PDF. and I and in because when I speak in French, some people I say the polite version, so the vous, and for other people we are friends, so I say tu. So in
Yeah.
English, you is the same whether we know somebody or we don't know somebody, but in French it's different. I even have a drop down box when I can choose between the tu and the vous, so that I don't even need to change that anymore. Just
Yeah.
before I press OK, I change that, and that's it.
Wow. Wow. So I think you shared so much about how solopreneurs, business owners generally can use different things to take their business, which is the aim of this podcast. You've talked about text expanders, you've talked about your AI co-CEO, your automations and everything. So now for anybody watching or listening, if they want to find out more about you, they want to learn more about your work, they want to connect with you and learn with you because it's obvious you have so much more than this to share. They want to probably participate in the trainings you mentioned
Mhm.
earlier. Or maybe access. You talked about a custom GPT tool for creating AI and AIC suits. So, what's the best way a listener can reach you?
Yeah, for me, I think the best way for any kind of listener, whether they are on Mac or on Apple or not, is LinkedIn. I will give you the link to my LinkedIn profile so that they can connect with me. They can DM me saying that you found me, you listened to me in this podcast, and yeah, we can connect from there. For listeners who are on Apple platform and could not imagine running a business on anything else than a Mac, then they can visit macpreneur.com which is a website where they will find all the podcast episodes. They can also look or search for Macpreneur on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. On YouTube, they should look for Macpreneur FM, and they will find the YouTube channel, because my podcast is
Oh,
both audio, it's like you, both audio and
amazing.
video.
So they
Yeah,
can search for you on LinkedIn, go to macpreneur.com, or on YouTube, Macpreneur FM. So yeah, so I think those would be in the show notes. Those would be
yeah.
on the screen. The macpreneur.com will be on the screen for anyone watching, so they can learn more from you. They can connect with you and take their businesses better. So
Mhm.
thank you so much, Damien, for coming on Take Your Business today.
My pleasure. Thank you
Thank you so
for
much.
inviting
And
me.
for the listeners, I hope you've learned as much as I have from this episode. And I hope if you want to learn more, you're going to go on macpreneur.com, follow Damien on LinkedIn, and learn more. And if you know anyone this episode is going to benefit, share this to them, or else next week, wait for next week when we are back with a brand new episode. Until then, keep taking your business. Bye for now.